Hi, this is Craig Stocks here for Utah Desert Remote Observatories. You can find us online at utahdesertremote.com. And today I'm going to do a couple of short videos. This first one I'm going to talk about how to do actions in Photoshop and how you can create them and use them to simplify your workflow. This is a follow-up to the video I did the other day showing what I believe is the fastest and easiest way to process narrowband images. So join me now and we'll go into Photoshop. So we'll start here in Photoshop, and I'm going to be using the same data of the Rosette Nebula. So we'll start by going to File, Scripts, Load Files into Stack, and that brings up this dialog box where I can simply browse for the individual files that I want to load. I want to load the hydrogen, oxygen, sulfur, and then the stars. Click OK, and then OK again. And that will load those 4 image files as individual layers in Photoshop. Now, one of the things I touched on yesterday was how to use the power of actions to simplify your workflow. And it probably speeds it up because an action can play out faster generally than you can operate. And an action is sometimes called a macro in other software. But basically it records a series of commands or keystrokes or mouse clicks as you perform them, and then gives you the opportunity to play them back. And if you recall, one of the sequences that we did a lot in processing narrowband images is putting an individual layer into a layer group with a couple of adjustment layers. And we can easily record that as an action. To do that, we'll need to access the Actions palette, which if you have some of your more commonly used palettes organized over here on this palette toolbar, it would be the one with the play button. You can also find it if you go to Windows, Actions, and I'm just going to click on that to open it up. And this shows a list of actions that I've recorded. And you can use the little disclosure caret here if you want to expand it and see the individual steps. To replay an action, you would simply click on the play button down here. To record an action, you click on the round record button, and then when you're done recording, you would click on the stop button. So let's start with this, happens to be the hydrogen layer, and I'm going to do just a very generic action that will put a layer into a layer group with the layers that I want within that layer group. So to do that, I'll click on the little plus sign to create a new action, and I'll give it the name of record group. And we can set a function key, and in this case I'm going to set a function key of Control F5. So I can just press Control F5 to execute this action. Now press record. So now anything I do is being recorded by the action. And the first thing I want to do is put this layer into a group. So if you recall, that's Control G, or that would be Command G on a Mac. Now, groups are a little bit funny. If I create a new adjustment layer and the group is open and the selected group name is the thing that's selected, when I add an adjustment layer, it will add inside the layer group, which is exactly the behavior we want. And typically I would add a levels adjustment layer. I would add a blank layer, which I can get to with the little plus sign down here, and I'll put it in soft light blending mode in case I need to do any local lightening and darkening. And then I'll add a hue saturation adjustment layer. I'll put it in colorize blending mode. I'll set the lightness to -50, set the saturation to 100%, and we can just leave the color at red in the group at group 1 for now, because those would be personalized for each layer that where you run this. And you may or may not want to have the hue saturation enabled. So let's pretend that we want to keep it looking grayscale for now and only turn it on when we're ready for it. So I'll turn off the layer visibility as a part of the action. And at this point we're done, so I click the stop, the little square, to stop recording. And we've now recorded an action. So if I go down to the next layer and I press Control F5, there's its group. And this happens to be oxygen, so I'll just change the name to, and I should probably change the name up here to hydrogen. Collapse that. Come down to the next one, Control F5. Change the group name to sulfur. And I can even do the same thing for the stars, because I do want the stars to be in screen blending mode though. So I'll change the group from pass-through to screen and move this up to the top of the layer stack. And now all I have to do is go through and turn on and set the color. If I wanted to make this an HOO image, for instance, I'll leave the sulfur turned off. We'll make hydrogen red, because that's what you would do in an HOO image. And oxygen, I'll turn on the hue saturation, and I'll set its hue to 180 degrees, which would be cyan. And I neglected when I made the action to put these in screen blending mode. So I should have put the layers in screen blending mode when I recorded the action. And in fact, we can go back and do that. You can edit an action. And so I'm just going to choose the sulfur layer down here. Here's the action we just recorded. It's record group. It shows you the shortcut key. It says the steps are make group, make adjustment layer, and so forth. So if I click on make group, and I have the group selected, and that's important for what I'm going to do because I want to record putting this group in screen blending mode. So to do that, I'll just click the record button, change the blending mode to screen, and then stop recording. And you can see that now I've recorded a new step within that action. So if let's just pull this outside the group. We'll test it by deleting this group. So there's the sulfur layer, Control F5, and now it added it in screen blending mode. So that's how you record actions and play them back. Really quite simple. You can get far more complicated. I did a job for a fellow last year where he had nearly 1 million images that he wanted processed into 4 different folders and 4 different kinds of processing. And basically I used actions to automate that. So the computer sat in the corner for about a month churning through and processing those 1 million images. Actually, it had to process each image 4 times. So if you have any questions, drop them in the comments down below. And as always, I hope you have a great day today and an even better night tonight under a clear, dark sky. Thanks.